All right,
Sounds good.
action.
All right.
Um, yeah, thank you for starting that spreadsheet. That is,
Yeah.
I think, a really good start. Yeah, were these any ideas that you had used previously? I think you said you'd maybe tried something like this in some of your classes.
I think I just tried this idea of like five obstructions.
Mm,
But not like, I think I even went a little bit more specific with my class where I was like, they had to like go to like some remote location and set something up. They had to like create like an intervention. So document that intervention.
mm,
So for us, I think, I mean, the only thing I've I've been to like Fordham Road and I tried to photograph there, and like I've photographed in Jackson Heights. I made some work in
mm.
Jackson Heights before. But yeah, nothing that I really, as I said, I can't really make work in New York. It's kind of impossible. New York is just like a place where I edit.
It's
Yeah.
so funny that we're kind of united in that experience. I've never really wrapped my head around doing a story in New York, but it is where I edit, and it can be daunting, of course, because there's so many ways into
Mm-hmm.
in doing a New York story in a way. I found myself, I'm curious where you are now in your thought process. This was really great, I think, to start with how. I think it's how you're going to work,
Mm-hmm.
rather than focusing on what so much, because the
Yeah.
what kind of comes to you.
Mm-hmm.
It did get me thinking a little bit more about how, and I was grasping a little bit for maybe knowing a bit more the format that even just between us that the thing will take. But anyway, so I was remembering La Jetée. It's about a 30-minute film by a filmmaker named Chris Marker. It's a film, except it doesn't use moving images. It only uses photos.
Okay.
And I think he calls it a photo roman, or like a photo story.
Okay.
It's not quite a film. It's not photo. So it uses sound, music, dialogue, or actually narration, um, like a film, but with only still photos. And there's
Okay.
a lot. And so I was thinking maybe that's something that we could play with if it inspires you. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to see it.
let me
Do you want
pull
to
it up.
show it? Yeah. Oh, it's so cool. Wow. I feel like somebody must have shown it to me at some point, or but I feel like I should know this movie. It's like, seems, it's, yeah. So the entire 30 minutes is sort of like these stills that he sequenced. Is there any music, or I didn't hear it, or
Not there, but he does use music. He uses kind
okay.
of everything around sort of filmmaking, music, and as I said, sound effects, narration,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it's all photos. There's a very notable exception where he kind of very short time he switches to just moving image, and it's
Mm-hmm.
very subtle.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that maybe there could be something we can borrow from it if it's
Yeah.
for me. It kind of speaks to kind of like my editing side, to kind of
Yeah.
put things together in a certain order.
I kind of assumed that you wanted to make some, visual materials as well, like that it's just me taking the photos, or you, contributing or doing something with editing, because like that to me sounds so fun and exciting to have somebody else edit something that I've done, because that's like the complete nightmare part of my process.
Oh, interesting.
Like that's why I started to make books, but
Mm.
it was because I had to like make a decision.
Mm.
And because there's no like one crucial edit, if you're feeling like you're not sure if you wanted to use like film or something like that, like that could be a way for us to work together too.
Mm.
But I don't, just to like throw it out there.
Yeah.
Because yeah, but it was beautiful. It was sort of like you start to make it's like the moment you put the pictures together you start to make a narrative right away. So you're like, so it's at first it feels kind of like abstract, and then you're like, oh, wait a second, it's like who is she, and like where is she, like it's
it's an interesting, really unique film.
that sounds really interesting, because that's probably always my weakest part, is like to have some kind of a narrative in my work, or strict I feel like my theme or my threads kind of evolve as I make the work. It could be kind of cool to work that way, to maybe go at it another way, but yeah, maybe it feels like that would be too long of a project. Or
Yeah, and I should say, I mean, there are so many ways we can skin the cat, and this is
yeah.
just
Yeah. As a form, like formally, I think it would be interesting, because
right.
I'm always like I am kind of like a dinosaur, like I'm a formalist first, I feel like always form first and then the content will follow. But
Cool. Yeah, we can talk a bit more about it next time.
yeah.
Still, if we're still interested in it. Anyways, I was just kind of saying, like, I was thinking about the locations you set up and the ideas of the obstructions, but I confess I just came back to it and I was like, what is this going to be kind of about? In a way, I was like, well, maybe we would want to design the obstructions a little bit tailored to what we're kind of seeking in a way. But I wasn't sure. And again, I don't want to revert to being so concerned about the what yet. Yeah.
But I also hear what you're saying. Like, I think it would be kind of nice to maybe have, not like have a thesis or something, but just like it would be nice to have some kind of a North Star, even if that ends up being something else at the end.
I'm not feeling anything specific. I just trying to imagine a couple steps down the road of, and I'm so curious to learn from you too. Even with the locations, let's say, that we've come up with, and the obstructions, it seems like there's still so much could unfold before us. So I was trying to think about other ways to sort of try to define a bit more what direction we're heading, or we do kind of let the process guide us, and make some kind of excursion, see what we come up with, and then be like, oh, that was interesting. It just seems still like there's so many directions you could go in. I'm curious at how you've approached kind of biting off something that starts really big. How do you make it smaller?
I think, yeah, it was sort of, I guess I'm not able to see the grand picture in the beginning. I'm always like, oh, I'm just, checking this place out and taking some photos. And then I feel like I kind of make it grander as I go. So I feel like I need to sort of like squeeze in like a very tiny little hole first, and then I will find something. Not that I'm like humble in any way, but I feel like I'm more like self-deprecating, and then I'm just like, well, what do I have to say about like big stuff? And so I'm definitely like feel like, well, what kind of a sort of a big question can I ask? And so I always sort of like put myself down in the beginning of a project. Yeah, then it becomes maybe a bit more macro at some point. But yeah.
Well, recognizing too that the process, I think, is so much a part of what they're after, and kind of just how we're thinking through these things. And
I'm just gonna probably go out one day and just try something. And that's why I was sort of like, I mean, I guess it doesn't even, it maybe for now, like in the beginning, it doesn't matter, like maybe like following the obstructions so strictly, or just like start. I feel like we have to start with something.
You have to start with something.
Because it's just, and we can critique it as we go, instead of like critiquing it before we've even made anything. So.
I think you're totally right. You're totally right.
But you know what is helpful, just to see, like, if you have other movies or films that you really like, just to kind of even see your like visual aesthetic, or what, even if it doesn't have to do with anything of your work, like just films that you like, or it would be kind of fun just for me to see that.
Oh, and likewise, I mean, I would love to,
Okay, cool. Yeah.
my vocabulary of actual photographers that I know is so limited. I need to expand it, and I'm sure you have amazing references.
Yeah, just like in terms of like getting to know each other, it would be kind of nice. And then
more language that we can draw from.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
The last thing, just so I can explain it, you don't think I'm a crazy person. Just in our Google Doc, I just weirdly, a friend of mine posted this very innocuous photo on Instagram. I don't know if you see it in the document.
Oh.
And that I'm just screen sharing for the benefit of the Zoom call. I just was remembering, in a literal sense, to use your word, obstructions. You go into the bodegas and there's the the plexiglass, and then this person in this, it looks like an Uber or a cab. Again, if this sparks an approach, for kind of what we could do with the camera of shooting through materials, seems to be something that we're looking at each other through. Maybe there's something there for us.
Oh, that's so interesting. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Like people wearing these like masks that have like, it's just like all plastic shield. Oh yeah, I think that even kind of appeals to me more than doing, because the last thing is what I want to do, some like survey or something like.
Right.
I think it would be kind of fun to do like a more abstract approach. Yeah, the plastic is interesting because it is sort of like this material that we now are very familiar with. I like that picture. Who, like, your friend took it, or?
My friend took it, and
it's beautiful.
I'm reminded of, it's super niche references, but there's some kind of shots in films I like where they'll kind of put a scene and characters looking at each other like through glass, and you think, well, glass is totally transparent and it doesn't affect, but it's like it does. There are subtle imperfections in the glass, and it distorts in a certain way, and it can become quite meaningful, that technique of using it at the right moment in a story. But just from an aesthetic standpoint, it becomes really potent. I can speak for myself, at least, as a filmmaker. You try to get away from
reflections,
or even try to getting away from like just reality, because the cameras are so precise, they're so 24 frames per second. It's just, how do you get it away from just being like so reportage, to use your word, or just something that's just very everyday. And sometimes just something that obstructs the image or gives it a less than literal kind of appearance, as simple as like, even if you shoot through like a dirty window or something like that, you sort of like, you can kind of take things, make the meaning more like bigger in a way, because it becomes less specific. It becomes more, I don't know, enduring and iconic or something, because you're losing the detail and you're kind of getting figures, and I don't know, that speaks to me in a certain way.
But yeah, maybe why don't we just you get back like at the end of the week, right? Okay, Wednesday, so then we can, like, I can come up with things just to share in the Google Doc, and then I'm gonna plan on going out there a few days and see what I can get. And then when we speak again Friday, maybe I can share some stuff then. Yeah,
I think it'll be super helpful. And yeah, in the meantime, we'll share references and
Yeah.
yeah, and then we'll
Yeah,
start
references will be,
playing with
yeah,
things.
that will be fun. We'll just, we'll get it going, and then
Cool.
we can keep bouncing back and forth.